then trying to grab a hold of it and land a direct blow that sends the DJ Pocket 3.
All right, coming up next for the UFC Middleweight Championship of the World between Vanderlei Silva and Michael Bisping. So here he is, the #1 middleweight contender, getting set for this 185-pound title fight. He believes this title shot should have come a long time ago, but he has let bygones be bygones. The focus now unseating the champion in dominant fashion and starting a new middleweight legacy of his own. 25 minutes or fewer away from becoming the new champion, and we'll see how he performs tonight.
Michael Bisping has some of the best cardio inside the octagon. He's also one of the most underrated fighters in the UFC.
It pissed me off reading that shit. I was getting angry reading that shit. I read it in Blue Sky. I was getting pissed reading that shit, dog. I was getting angry, man. I was fucking getting rage, dog.
So here he is, the reigning, defending, undisputed UFC middleweight champion of the world. This man ubiquitously regarded as the top 85er at present. Some people believe this is the greatest middleweight of all time. He certainly does, and he has goals even beyond that. He wants to be one of the greatest mixed martial arts athletes of all time, and in order to preserve that goal, this is a title defense, simply put, that he's got to have.
The champion is in focus. He is in his prime. He's making his way towards the cage. His training for this camp has been absolutely spectacular. He believes he has a solid game plan, and his mentality coming into this fight is clear and focused.
All right, now our tale of the tape for this middleweight championship fight. Bisping is 4 years his senior. He will have a 1-inch reach advantage. And once again, here is the veteran voice of the octagon, Bruce Buck.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening. And when the action begins, our referee in charge of the octagon, Mario Yamasaki. And now, this is the moment UFC fans around the world have been waiting for. Live from the sold-out Madison Square Garden Arena in New York City, it's time! 5 rounds for the undisputed UFC Middleweight Championship of the world. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner. This man is a kickboxer, holding a professional record of 31 wins, 9 losses. He stands 6 feet 1 inch tall, weighing in at 185 pounds. Fighting out of Manchester, England, presenting the challenger, Michael the Count Bisping. And now introducing the champion, fighting out of the red corner.
Europe's first slave race didn't start with England or Spain. They started with Portugal, and they were blessed by the church. In the early 1840s, navigator.
Well, at 185 pounds. Fighting out of Las Vegas, Nevada, USA, presenting
A series of expeditions. Europe's first slave raids didn't start with England or Spain. They started with Portugal, and they were blessed by the church. In the early 1840s, Henry Navigator launched a series of expeditions down the west coast of Africa. Initially, they were voyages of discovery, but in reality, they were armed reconnaissance missions. And the goal wasn't just gold or spices, it was people. And by 1441, Portuguese ships from the shores of what is modern-day Mauritania.
All right, here we go. I am fired up for this fight. It's been a long time coming, and they're finally going to get after it.
Get those sort of jitters and weird sort of artifacts in the image. So that's the disadvantage of having a digital stabilizer.
Two captains, Anteo and Nuno.
Smooth. Hyper smooth's been perfected pretty much over the years. It looks great.
The first African slaves and brought them back.
Still get a perfectly smooth image.
to Lisbon. The arrival.
It's just not the physical 3-axis gimbal that you get with the Pocket 3, and that helps with the image quality overall as well, because it's doing it on the outside rather than digitally enhancing the image.
Europe's first slave raids didn't start with England or Spain. They started with Portugal, and they were blessed by the church. In the early 1840s, and in reality, Portuguese ships were the first African slaves, some of them silent, some of them sobbing, celebrated as a triumph. Chroniclers describe the slaves kneeling before the royal family, some of them silent, some of them sobbing, and courtiers thanking God for bringing them there. But this was only the beginning. In 1444, another captain with 6 caravels and 250 men launched a much larger expedition, ending up in the Bay of Arguin. They raided the village at dawn, burning down houses and for bringing them there. But this was only the beginning. In 1444, another captain with 6
track yourself with like a selfie mode, which is awesome. That really does help with vlogging and travel videos.
caravels and 250 years, thanking God for bringing them there. But this was only the beginning. In 1444, another captain with 6 caravels and 250 men launched a much larger expedition, ending up in the Bay of Arguin. They raided ending up in the Bay of Arguin. They raided
Ron, you ready? You ready?
All right, here we go. UFC middleweight championship is on the line.
Another place game.
Step off that track.
Oh.
Oh, he got tagged. Oh, what a leg kick.
Throwing that jab, no good. He's got him hurt here.
The champion is in big trouble here. He is in danger of losing his title. Oh, look at this. Who saw that coming?
Left hand lands flush over the top. Big body shot.
Clean overhand. There's a nice inside leg kick.
Both guys landing big shots.
Nice takedown.
Back to the feet. Orthodox for much of the fight. He's going southpaw here, Joe. How about that chin? Well, Joe, I know he's an offensive fighter, but he's going to have to figure some things out here defensively, moving forward and right into the straight punch there of his opponent. Bisping gets hit with that overhand. Oh, he brought that offense, Joe.
Well, he stepped into that one.
Bisping gets tagged again.
Oh, another shot. He's hurt bad. He's got to be careful
Oh,
here.
he might be out.
Oh, flying knee. Oh, head kick. Oh, he's stunned again.
Silva goes for the clinch here, and this is just a means by which to recover. He is stunned.
Working from side control. Back to his feet again. Amazing.
Joe, that is one well-timed overhand there by
Good
Silva.
shots by the champion.
Oh! Another knockdown! Can you believe it?
Outstanding timing and accuracy for a knockout victory.
Yeah, Joe, beautiful shot to end the fight right there. It couldn't have landed much more flush than it did. I'm not even sure the opponent saw it coming, quite frankly. So, near perfect execution on the strike that ultimately results in the KO here tonight.
Caught him right there, had him in all sorts of trouble. Check it out here. Bam! Lights out.
All right, the...
wrote proudly of how the
Looking
spoils
to
of
become the
the village
UFC
is dawn.
middleweight champion of the world,
Some
here
of
he
the
is, the
first
#1
African slaves
middleweight contender for a long time. This man has been
who
one of the best 85ers in the world, but this title fight eluded him. It is here
burning
right
down
now. He
houses
is
and
healthy. He is
capturing
smack dab in the middle of his
200
prime,
men,
and he
women,
believes
and
he is the
children.
best
Zahura
85er in
wrote
the world,
proudly
and is out
of
to
how the
prove just
spoils
that
was
tonight.
men,
Walk away
women,
with
and
12
children. Zahura
pounds
wrote
of
proudly
UFC gold.
of how
As
the
he steps
spoils
towards
was
his cage, he understands this is one of the biggest moments in his life, the biggest moment in his career. He is looking to take this title, and he believes his time is now. His preparation has gone perfectly. He is in outstanding shape. He has a great game plan and a great camp, and he believes that he will emerge the new champion of the world tonight after this fight.
You know, there is just something terrifying about guys with crazy hand speed, and that certainly applies to this young man. Punches and bunches, as good a combination striking game as we've seen in the UFC in years, and you gotta think the accumulation of punches, which have worn down lesser opponents, could wear down his opponent here tonight. It's one thing to see the hand speed on film, it's another thing to see it in your face on fight night. We'll see how this matchup plays out tonight.
Vanderlei Silva will go down in history as one of the most aggressive fighters the world has ever seen. He is the quintessential berserker Muay Thai striker out of the Chuta Box camp of Brazil.
Our tail of the tape for this, our main event of the evening. The Brazilian is 34. The Brit is 38. He is 2 inches taller. He will have a 1-inch reach advantage. All right, now to get us started, here's Bruce Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is
Saracens,
and when the action
pagans,
begins,
and
our
other
referee in charge, Mario Yamasaki. And now,
3 years later, Roman
this
starts to make
is the moment you've
unit
all been
license
waiting for.
to go
Live from the sold-out Madison Square Garden Arena in New York City.
authorities enslaved Saracens, pagans, and other
Saracens, pagans, and
believers. 3 years later, Roman has Pontifex
The world. Introducing first, fighting at the blue corner.
I
This man
miss
is
all
a
this
kickboxer,
Francisco.
holding a professional record of 31 wins, 9 losses. He stands 6 feet 1 inch tall, weighing in at 185 pounds. Fighting out of Manchester, England, presenting the challenger, Michael.
believers, claiming their lands for their own. Those people do not obscure theology. They were the legal foundation for empire, documents that sanctified conquest into the doctrine of discovery. By the 1460s, Portuguese traders had set up palm depots in Anguin, Alminia,
And now introducing the champion, fighting out of the red corner. This man is a Muay Thai fighter, holding a professional record of 33 wins, 10 losses, 1 draw, and 1 no contest. He stands 5 feet 11 inches tall, weighing in at 185 pounds. Fighting out of Las Vegas, Nevada, presenting
Brazil,
the reigning, defending UFC undisputed middleweight
racial,
champion of the world,
religious, and Europe's mission, Saracens, pagans, and other not
All right, this is for the championship bout. I want you guys to do a clean fight. Follow my orders at all times. Defend yourself at all times. Good luck tonight.
This is a fight that we have been looking forward to for a long time and is about to take place right now. I'm very excited.
Here you go, first round, you ready?
Believers. 3 years later, Romanus Pontifex expanded that license, commanding Portugal to go out and conquer non-believers, claiming their lands for their own. Those papal bulls were not obscure theology. They were the legal foundation for empire, documents that sanctified conquest into the doctrine of discovery. And by the 1460s, Portuguese traders had set up armed depots in Anguin.
Aguin, on by 46 video set up.
Meaning he is worthy to face the demon back. Udruf dodges the first slash with a minor injury, being shocked that he actually has to concede ground to an opponent. We have Masashi goes for another attack with the intent to kill the hunter. However, he is stopped just in time and countered via the almighty nutshot that drops Masashi. Therefore, has Yujiro acquired victory? No. The ancient warrior rises with more to show, no longer wielding his sword.
Alminia
He has found
and
someone
Cape
to
Verde.
test his ultimate form that he was on the brink of mastering before his original death, the swordless style. Before their next clash, which could result in the death of one of them, absolute respect is once again shown between the two, a fight both have been waiting for their entire lives.
By the 1460s, Portuguese traders had set up armed depots in Anguin, Alminia, and Cape Verde.
He has now mastered the principle of these abilities.
All right, here we go. The wait is over. The UFC's 185-pound title is up for grabs right here, right now.
Left kick to the body. That one hurt.
Pretty good knee to the body by Bisping.
Nice.
Beautifully placed in time kick there by Vanderlei Silva.
Oh,
Him there
big
with the
right
right
hand by
hand.
Bisping. Oh!
Trying to establish that jab once again. Silva gets caught with that punch.
Feints with the punch.
A lot of different looks. He switches to southpaw now. Well, he absorbs a kick to the head here, left it wide open. He's got to not move into that power shot. Let's see if he can adjust. Oh, damage done. Bleeding from his cheek now.
Oh, man, with that right leg kick. Excellent takedown defense.
And Dizzy as he looks to improve position here.
And they disengage from the clinch. And he lands it to the leg.
Oh, a huge block there.
Big shot to the head. He's stunned.
He's got him hurt here.
This fight is dangerously close to being stopped.
And now he lands a combination. How about that shin?
Vicious combinations.
Oh, big left hook over the top. Looked like it did stun him a little bit.
He is rocked right here. He's trying to stay up. And he's down.
Oh, big left hook there. Under 2 minutes now to go in round one.
He's trying to stay up. The champ is rocked. He's in deep trouble. He's trying to hang on and keep his title.
Oh, he might be out.
Oh, big kick to the head. Oh! He is clearly in big, big trouble here. Oh, he got tagged. Oh! And another one. He's in trouble. Tries a big hook to the head, but misses.
Oh! Goes down again.
Students who experienced trauma in their lives, our school system wasn't working well for them, and they were having all sorts of big behaviors.
What started as a smaller raid soon became a structured trade network. Middlemen sold slaves inland. Portuguese ships then ferried them to Atlantic islands to grow sugar. And these islands would go on to be the foundation for the Atlantic system that would engulf Brazil, the Caribbean, and North America. And every element was already in place. A plantation system, a racial hierarchy, a religious sanction.
Every school should have one.
Political system, majority, sanction, and a cultural
And royal profit. Europe's first the ancient king, that is also incorrect. Alright, so is the kingdoms and word. So the last king of Hawa, his name is Hassan al-Anajawi, right?
Needs to happen. He has unfinished business with all three of the Huntlers. We are told how and why this can happen in the manga itself. Imagine in 2026 when we get the Bucky Gale anime dropping, a chapter is released
Libya.
resurrection in Bucky Rahman. Next level marketing and a
The
different
1740
turn of
labor
events.
tasks, such
Let's
as
first break
Ethiopia
down
and
how
West African
this
region
happened. Building
individuals
his
from the
title fight
Balkans
with the
and
Munda against
Turkey
the
to
champion
darker-skinned
of the
individuals
world,
ranking
30
Michael
seconds
Bisping.
remain in the round.
He's
Oh, he might be out.
Oh, he's hurt. That's it. That's it. The fight is over. Huge TKO late in round one.
Yeah, wouldn't mind seeing that again. Exciting flurry at the end of this fight. It was the one big strike that started it all, dropped the opponent, led to that knockdown, and ultimately created the opening to jump in and force the stoppage. Referee made the right call stepping in here.
We could see it here from another look. These are clean shots that are getting in over and over again. Ground and pound for the TKO finish.
And there is the UFC middleweight champion of the world. He likes the sound of that. And how good was that performance here tonight as he gets the stoppage by TKO.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Mario Yamasaki is going to stop this contest at 4 minutes, 56 seconds of the very first round. Declaring the winner by TKO and still the undisputed UFC middleweight champion of the world, the ex-murderer of
So who's next, he says, as he celebrates in the corner after successfully defending his UFC middleweight championship here tonight. Not only does he get the job done, but he gets the finish that had eluded him previously, a win by TKO for him here tonight. And he goes out the same way he came in. So here's the former UFC middleweight champion, Michael Bisping. This is a born fighter. Love him or hate him, he is polarizing, but there is no denying what this man has accomplished in the UFC. Count him out at your own peril. A lot of people did against Luke Rockhold at UFC 199. Michael Bisping brought the belt back to his native Manchester, England.
Michael Bisping is a very experienced mixed martial artist. He's got very clean stand-up technique, solid ground and pound, and he's excellent at adapting his style to get an advantage over his opponent.
So here's the undisputed UFC middleweight champion of the world making the walk, looking to defend his title. It is certainly something that he's been able to do in the past. He has been challenged on this title run. It's not as though he has run roughshod through this division, but they're all still chasing him at 185 pounds tonight. At least on paper, could be his most difficult challenge to date.
Back in Pride, Vanderlei Silva's career was one savage knockout-filled win streak. He has a very aggressive striking style, years of Muay Thai experience, and can deliver a lot of damage from inside the clinch.
So as an example, those games like
There's Dumbo.
Our tale of the tape for this middleweight championship fight. Bisping is 4 years the elder. He will have a 1-inch reach advantage. Now for the official introduction, here is Bruce Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening. When the action begins, our referee in charge, Mario Yamasaki.
Dumbo versus Saki. Dumbo versus Saki and Dumbo versus Saki.
UFC fans around the world have been waiting for. Live from the sold-out Madison Square Garden Arena in New York City.
Sudan Saki versus Saki Dumbo.
Middleweight Championship of the World. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner. This man is a kickboxer, Holding a professional record of 31 wins, 9 losses. He stands 6 feet 1 inch tall, weighing in at 185 pounds. Fighting out of Manchester, England, presenting the challenger of
etc. There's even names that are fused with Arabic. Sid Abuha, Sid Al-Nafar,
And now, introducing the champion, fighting out of the red corner. This man is a Muay Thai fighter, holding a professional record of 33 wins, 10 losses, 1 draw, and 1 no contest. He stands 5 feet 11 inches tall, weighing in at 185 pounds. Fighting out of Las Vegas, Nevada, presenting the reigning, defending,
Citarula, who's the Arabic
undisputed
medium.
UFC
Citarula.
champion of the world.
Sergeant Ali, Sergeant Ali. Saruda, Sad Aruda, Sad Aruda, Sad
This is for the
Aruda,
championship bout. I want you guys to do a clean fight. Follow my orders at all
Sad
times. Defend
Aruha,
yourself at all times. Good
Sergeant
luck tonight.
Ali.
I am very fired up for this fight. It's been a long time coming. The fans have been anticipating this for a long time, and it is gonna go down right now.
All right, here we go. UFC middleweight championship fight. This should be good. Solid leg kicks landed there by Silva.
People wear this so when they go to war, they get unalived. They get unalived. People wear this so when they go to war. See, people wear this gear for ruqiyya, shahli for the name Ali, and etc. Even the way we dress is not Arabized. This right here is called a himma. In Nubian,
What we have here is the
it's called a tisi. People wear this so when they go to war, they get unalived.
allow him to go. The departed Musashi can
And
always come back, and we will continue to keep his proper home, his flesh and blood. 100% confirming that Musashi Miyamoto could very well return in the future of the Baki story, as it's directly set up here. And you could say his impact on the story in the following arcs highlights this as more likely as well, as he doesn't just have an unfinished business with Baki. We of course have Yudra Hanma, the character who seems to constantly mention and bring out Masashi Miyamoto multiple times.
During the war, they'll end up using it as a burial cloth, which is something that you can't do with the Shibafad which is something that they go to war, they get unalived. This is not Arabized. This right here is called a himma. In Nubian, it's called a tisi. People wear this.
Fun the ogre was having in his entire life, then how the conclusion occurred with Motivate stepping in, ruined everything.
So when they go to war, in Nubian, it's called a tisi. People wear this so when they go to war, they get unalived during the war, they'll end up using it as a burial cloth, which is something that you can't do with the Shibaf Adarab. If you also come from burial cloth, which is something that you can't do with the Shibaf Adarab family, you'll find out that if you also come from a very traditional family, you'll find out that your family stores food this way, which is a Nubian way of how to store food. Even the way we speak Arabic is extremely Nubianized. We use words like Barinja, Angarib, Jigir, Jabana, etc.
Undoubtedly, they sour taste in a lot of people's mouths. Now, before I go over Jack Hanma, check out Gamer Subs in the description with a 10% discount.
No, bruh. Sarafuha. And of course, Nino Buff from Esparnubian, Sudan, Bruce Lee, Sati. So it was Bruce Lee, Sati. For the Sudan names.
Etc. People that understand such as family can find Nugudullah, which means also Dumbo, Bessie, Allah in our names.
Dumbo, Bruce Lee, Sati.
Their friends as well. Names like Gorti, Arbab, Gud, Shammat. And if you go in the Nubian area, you'll even find Nugud, Mina, Safura, etc. There's even names that are fused with Arabic. Sid Abuha, Sid al-Nafar, Argiya for Ruqiyya, Hikmi for the name Ali.
Ali, Sarafuha.
how to store food. We could actually unmove this way. During the war, go to war, the traditional family, you'll find out which is something that you can't do with the Shulchan Aruch. If you also come from a way of how to store, etc., etc. People that understand Sudan Jaban, etc., 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 etc. People that understand Sudani Arabic can actually understand a little bit of Nubian words. People who say that we don't have culture expected us to be like the Maasai people holding sticks and jumping up and down. I understand Sudani Arabic can actually store food. Even the way we speak Arabic is extremely Nubianized. We use words like Garunja, Angarib, Jigir, Jaban, etc., etc. People that understand Sudani Arabic, Garunja, Angarib, Jigir, Jaban actually understand a little bit of Nubian words. Alright, so this video is going to be for. Alright, so let me explain this, yeah? Is that they look so ancient Egyptian 10 checks and how. Hey, it's for the. Yes, exactly. That is 100% true. Okay, so I did not generate. Alright, since you don't understand how slavery in Africa worked, let me explain it to you, okay? First off, Africans did not enslave themselves, they enslaved other groups of Africans. For example, in Somalia, they had the Bantu slavery, which was a result of the Arab slave trade. They would basically acquire slaves from Tanzanian slave traders, and the Bantu people basically are descendants from people coming from West Africa. And because of the Bantu expansion, that made it happen. Even in Zanzibar, the man that ran most of the slave trade in Zanzibar was Tibuti, right? And he's half Omani and half Tanzanian. He acquired most of the slaves from Democratic Republic of the Congo, Malawi, and Uganda. And majority of these slaves that were shipped off to other countries or shipped off to Arabian countries such as Saudi, Iraq, and Palestine, etc. Even in Sudan, where they also had the slave trade happen, it was also made famous by Zubair Rahman Mansour Basha and his cousin Rabi Zubair, who ended up taking this part of Africa as slaves. Zubair Rahman Mansour also took slaves from this part of Africa as well. He did not enslave northern Sudanese people, because that's where he was from. And even in Ethiopia, they also had slaves from other parts of Africa. For example, the Tigrayan and Tigrinya people had Kunam slaves. Ethiopians, when they were acquired for slaves, most of the time it was for war. For example, Bilal bin Rabah al-Habashi. He's also a very famous figure in Islam. And the story of how his family became slaves was because of the story of Abraha when he wanted to go conquer the Kaaba or the square. They lost and basically they were acquired as slaves afterwards. And even when Somalis also acquired Ethiopian slaves, they were seen as human, and the other groups were not. So like I said, the East African slave trade that was happening, most of them went to Arabian countries. The ones that were shipped off to the Western world were from West and Central Africa. And even hypothetically, if you were descended from the East African slaves, you'd still be a descendant of West and Central Africans. But African Americans come mostly from West Africa, or not. So like I said, the East lost, and basically they were acquired as slaves afterwards. And even when Somalis also acquired Ethiopian slaves, they were seen as human, and the other groups were not. So like I said, the East Africa. It's funny because I've been getting a lot of these comments, right? A newbie.
Today, books in Egypt referencing Nubia in modern-day Sudan. African theologians like invented King Isan now at the powerful Christian Nubian kingdom of Nobitia Maru, Nubian kingdom. They built under colonial rule was reintroduced to many parts of theology in old Nubia. Now let's be
6,000 years ago,
but Hanada was able to actually counter it and slam Hanayama on his face, bringing us to chapter 5, where we see that this attack actually knocked out Hanayama, or at the very least, knocked him down for a brief moment, allowing Hanada to actually escape, which is pretty goofy, but it left Hanayama quite stunned. We then cut to Jack Hummer, who's having a meal with Tokugawa, Shinogi, and how Jack pretty much doesn't really remember him or consider him.
bro, I swear you're the word. I'm saying that I am in Arab because in them. For everyone that does not know and has not heard yet, Sudan needs help. The Sudanese people have been caught in a crossfire between the RSF militant groups and the Sudanese. Everyone know this. Alright, so let's talk about how did Sudan become a Muslim? Was Kingdom of Conquerors. It's funny because I've been in the slave trade that was happening. It's funny because this man false business. They'll be like, oh, boy, most. Okay, so I did not. First off, clearly deal with right a lot of, and even people.
Yes, exactly. That most part, right? So it looked like. Alright, so this video is gonna be for Nigerians. Me and this guy were called in Europe, and it that are of Yoruba descent or Egyptian, please. What did you think we black people sold up? There were hundreds of slaves talking about our traditions. I have valid critiques of whenever the Moors are brought up. One of Africa's last nomadic groups are the Tuareg. The Tuareg have inhabited northern Africa and the Sahara for thousands of years, going back as far as 8,000 years by some historical records. They mainly live in
One of our communities desperately trying to claim Morocco. Like indigenous mountain. This doctor just won one of archaeology's top awards for uncovering evidence of something that no one thought was possible. Now, this is not a song-making industry. There's an ancient city reports
people who say that we don't have culture. Way of the road. If you also people wear this so when they go to war, if they get unalive during the war, they'll end up using it as a burial cloth, which is something that you can't do with the shimah of the road.
before we start. So
That's right, Yudra Hanma showing respect to his other son, Jack Hanma, the fighting cyborg, for the first time in the Buffy series in Chapter 8 of Ryan. Crazy Time. Chapter 9 has us cutting to Kosho chilling with his brother, the Doctor, showing him training for his upcoming fight against Jack Hanma.
These people's America, African American, today we're going to the Sunni Orthodox Islamic community in the most people don't. I am sick and tired of the video about the time Egypt was ever colonized or conquered. And if we were to go with the theory of the Egypt was ever of the Egyptians coming from the were colonized or conquered, their very first settlements in Africa. And if we look at where the Egyptians established their very first settlements in Africa, it was in northern Sudan. I'll make a part two. And if we were to was local, I am since Egyptian.
Which is probably for good reason, as Shinogi is a guy that's been giving Jack his height lengthening surgeries throughout the series, and is probably well aware of Jack's true power compared to a lot of the other characters due to their close relationship since the Maximum tournament. We also have Hanada being more of a goon, talking with Tokigawa now.
10 facts. When Shoshin. 10 facts you didn't know about the Amazi. 1. The calendar is older than the Gregorian one. We are currently in Amazi year 2976, called Yenayer, a solar-based calendar. It starts in rain, sing, dance, air dresses,
Social was in Egypt, and 6,000 years ago,
indentured servitude.
first flows, crocodile, the souls, and
Indentured servitude is much too. It makes it.
there is a common misconception that Africa ends where the Sahara begins. This narrative, we gotta give the Ethiopian.
Today.
No, the Ethiopian Bible was not written by a black man. It was written by a Roman man. A Roman man by the name of Abba Garima. This man kidnapped an Ethiopian boy on a voyage to the kingdom of Atsum. The Bible don't talk about hair or wool for no reason. Then when he arrived, he told them how he had a prophecy he had to 20. No, the Ethiopian Bible was not written by a black man. It was written by a Roman man. A Roman man by the name of Abba Garima. This man kidnapped an Ethiopian boy on a voyage to the kingdom of Atsum. The Bible don't talk about hair or wool for no reason. Then when he arrived, he told them how he had a prophecy and he had to 24 hours to write it out. Mind you, the Romans and Greeks had a big beef with the Ethiopians because they were the first dynasty of Egypt, the Scorpion King. Narmer. Like they got big beef. Like at that time, 570 new racist love to say
Opinion you have.
Chapter 12 highlights the damage Jack has sustained, bleeding
of them went to Arabian countries. People that are commenting on, yes, exactly, that is 100% of Sudan. Some of them are destroyed. Let me explain to you, these are basically they even the darkest Sudan, exactly what a Muslim, the East is believing that they're actually descendants. Racism. What do you think?
However, the initial jabs of those, alongside the whole
If you also come from
has kosher leap into the air, showing the benefits of
a very traditional
training to land a direct kick on Jack, who proceeds to shake Kosher's hand for some reason, more
tribe during the war, Argia for Ruqayya,
followed by landing a direct
Sati,
right,
Bursley, Jumbo.
Chapter 13 has us cut back to the past,
etc. There's even names that are fused with Arabic. Sid Abuha, Sid.
where Viking was first used in an official map, and how the current day it remains, with Jack Hunter taking a big chunk out of Kosher's shoulder, while maintaining the handshake, also a trolling manner, looking down at him once again. The cold cutter is pretty much done with what happened, and probably the pain as well, allowing Jack to land a chokehold while taking his back, preparing to choke Kosher unconscious. However, before he succeeds in that regard, Jack decides to let go and...
Alright, so let's get in 100% in. You'll never find a cat. Their opening movements is actually very diverse. They're not, like I said, we find out that people, this is what happened. You know about the Moors, right? Say that yourself in this, the European? Alright, what's good, everyone? I'm back. Why are ancient Egyptians? And my question is, yo, Mr. Fuller, have to be on them like the going to say that the Arab, and that the Arab, because the Roman Empire, and you telling me she died at a hobby, Mr. Alright, so let's talk this. I'm like, quick fact. I'm like, that was they could alright, so why are the oldest remains 33,000 years ago? And why do you
In all of martial arts history, there is truly none greater. How Jack comes close to him, where he whispers in his ear or tries to bite off Jack's ear to
Europe's
the interaction, while Jack
kneeling in the bay, they returned to Lynn. They raided it with 200, some of them sobbing, and courtiers thanking God for bringing them there. But this was only the beginning. In women and children, crowned as royal properties, was men, women, and ending up a much larger expedition, ending up in the Bay of Arguin. They raided 150 God for bringing them there. But this was only the beginning. In 1444, another captain downhoused the rape wailing, described how families were torn apart, described rest was split up as royal prop, and they returned to Lagos. Zorora wrote proudly of how harvest of souls, granting the Portuguese crown, but overall described it diversus, granting the Portuguese crown authority to enslave Saracens, pagans, and other unbelievers. 3 years later, Romanus Pontifex expanded that license.
we see that Cutsby and Dogmore are always in their dojo talking about Jack and how Giao Giao...
Those people, Minia traders had set up armies, soon became a structured ships that go on to be the foundation of Atlantic Island to trade network. Middlemen sold slaves inland. Portuguese ships then ferried them to Atlantic Island. These Portuguese traders had set up armed depots in Anguin, Elminia, and Cape Verde. And by license, that's the fifth. The element was already
that you're far better than Barkley, of course, talking about knowing how to use a knife and fork.
Europe's. What if I told you everything you love? You might think that the worst gen. What if I might have thought? Trade so different was how it used ancient me on stolen across the Atlantic. But what made the Atlantic slave trade so different was how it used race as a weapon and built an entire global economy on stolen lives. It wasn't just people enslaving people. It was a system designed to erase identities, cultures, and humanity itself.
Followed by Jack questioning if Pedro is a normal father, and then...
And here's the part that most never hear. The majority of enslaved Africans didn't go to the United States. They were shipped to South America and the Caribbean. Imported 5 million, and the Caribbean. Brazil alone imported 5 million Africans. The plantations out there were so brutal, cheap, where slavery was abolished, entire cultures built on the back of defiance. Modern, you might think that the word. I'm worried that this video will get me banned. You will nip in.
Referee, the moment one of us moves, it begins. Chapter 20 continues with this idea. Jack
The people
expressing that
who
imaginary of one
weren't
another
fashion.
of Jack and questions if the strongest creature alive is really hesitating and makes a joke that he's really reached that level, of course talking about the strongest creature alive caliber. This results in the ogre laughing like a maniac, and then a similar scene to what we got with Baki. The ogre screams attention that stuns Jack, followed by a slap as more show punishment, resulting in a single tear leaving Jack's eyes. In chapter 21, we see that the slap sent Jack flying into the window, but he didn't go through it like Buck in the past. This is because the hotel staff had made some adjustments after the previous situation, and while this is being explained to Ogre, we see that
Hey, what
Jack
the hell?
is just admiring the view, while also
Okay, yeah, I gotta put it
claim
up.
that falling 40
Am
floors
I
would
made?
have killed
The
him,
gods and
resulting in
basically, typically.
Ogre for the kind words, thank him for the dinner, and make his leave.
Lemonade Pet Insurance can save you thousands of dollars a year at the vet.
A 2,000 lira, 2% not Egypt, Near Eastern features, zero sub-Saharan profile. Rosalie
Get claims handled instantly all through the Lemonade app. Get a quote faster than your dog can run away with one of your favorite shoes at lemonade.com/pet.
Looking back at the skyscraper when he's on the ground floor and being like, if I had fallen from the top floor, I would have completely ruined the pavement, and that would not be good. Bro is still trolling. Now, chapter 22 reveals what Pickle is doing. We see him walking around the streets, being a little bit of a nasty boy, but he does have that peak level homeless grip, while also revealing to us that Pickle also eats really any animal at this point, and then it happens. We see
Bro, I swear you're the one. Okay, sorry, Nubian. But bananas, search it up. But for you and people like you that got West Eurasian, have West Eurasian DNA in us. If you don't know what West Eurasian is, literally just search it up. But for you and people like you that do not understand big words, you guys just immediately think that that means Arab. And even if we were to talk about West Asia, there are still a lot of countries in this that are not even Arab. So me saying that ancient Nubians and modern day Nubians both have West Eurasian mixes in them does not mean that they're Arab. But you, on the other hand, is the most funniest case I've ever seen. Like, you're over here saying that I claim Arab, blah, blah, blah. But the Yemeni guy that was streetwise, the Syrians and Arabs want to tell them, for everyone that does not know the side. Alright, so let's talk about how did Sudan become a Muslim board and conquer. Right before there's no Arabic caliphate, subscribe to any Abrahamic faith, right? Kingdoms. Speaking, there's no black people. How dark a person is, so their names on power, right? What tells me? It's funny because alright, since you don't understand how slavery in Africa worked, slavery. What war was? Okay, so I did not get. Yes, exactly that. Alright, so let me explain this. Danny, right? People, reality. Alright, so this video is gonna be for Egyptian fleet.
chapter 25, where Hanayama claims that this is his turf, a place where he can't ignore a fight like this. Pickle is looking at Hanayama in shock and recognizes him from the past, viewing him as this dinosaur, and has a similar footage exchange as also a greeting between the two, which is pretty cool. We then have the first ever interaction between Jack and Hanayama in the entire Baki series, where we learn that Jack doesn't even know who Hanayama is, which is
Question.
low-key makes sense considering various moments where
That isn't broken. I actually debunked this pictures, like pictures. Alright, what's good? Alright, so my question is this, right? It's a very simple. He was the son of Salahuddin al-Ayyubi. And because you're American, you don't have same rights, so let's get that. But you guys don't want to take over this part of the world. They would try as a child cross history. But you guys don't open a book. Damn. For example, the Hagia Sophia. It started off originally as a church, and then it became a mosque. And throughout history, it became a church twice. And that's because every time someone would take over this part of the world, cross history. But you guys don't open a book. Damn. For example, the Hagia Sophia. It started off originally as a church, and then it became a mosque. And throughout history, it became a church twice. Originally as a church, and then it became a mosque. And throughout history, it became a church twice. And that's because every time someone would take over this part of the world, they would try to destroy what was previous. When the Romans took over Jerusalem, they destroyed all the temples there. Why? Because that's just what conquerors used to do. How about the story of the Nubian king Terhala, where he took over Jerusalem? Do you think when he took over, he tried to preserve the culture and try to honor it? Or did he have a goal in mind to take over because he wanted to be a pharaoh of that area? Exactly. So when Africans do it to other nations, it's perfectly fine. But when other nations do it to Africa, it's because they believed Africans were half alien, right? You're hilarious. And my question is, if this was your shit, why did y'all try to destroy it when you first came? Alright, so this is hilarious, right? So Portland City asks, if this was y'all's shit, then why did y'all destroy it? And there's a very simple answer to this. Aziz Osman, who tried to destroy the pyramids, was not actually Egyptian. He was actually Kurdish. He was in the highlands of the son of Salah ad-Din al-Ayyubi. Because first off, I picked them now from the sea group Nubia, the ancient region. They are indeed a mixture of ancient Egyptian DNA, ancient Cushitic DNA, and ancient Nilotic related things in Somalia closer to us. They have the ancient Hound and ancient Michelle. Egyptian also. Alright, so let's get into the bullshit. Alright, what's good at my brother? Alright, so you said ancient Nubians. It's they. And all. By the way, did you ever check by the pins of the. You know, when people usually think of pins, and they got it by the Quran. Alright, so it's good, everybody. Alright, so it's good for me. The ancient killer in some parts of Africa. Just one former slave told him, here's an extensive. Here's something that many people. Do you know whose birth you really are celebrating during Christmas? Inspiration didn't mean the same. They'll tell you that Frederick Douglass. They'll tell you that just ran about, and he didn't read newspapers. Europe's first slave. What if I told you? You might think that the worst jet. What if I told you everything you've learned about slave? I'm worried that Africa's World War killed more people. This is literally known for being the fuck around. It's crazy to be out. The craziest thing.
Jumping off a roller coaster, chest explosion, weapons, Russians, and spec. Five of the craziest and fun characters in the whole series, known as the most evil death row convict. However, one issue facing them is how they haven't really been relevant to the story for over 600 chapters.
Did Africans sell?
Wild to think about when a large amount of the fucking men are anime only and still consider that a fairly recent arc. We did get the spin-off chapter entitled Revenge Tokyo, showing what the prisoners are currently doing. However, that was made in 2018.
Portugal.
Started the anime. So it was most likely made for the anime's promotion, with that chapter being adapted into an anime episode to confuse anime only even more about them returning. Nothing new has been.
The 2000s, less David Manchana. Yeah, I just pulled the curtain all the way back. What Makes Bad by Michael Jackson was released in 19.
For a while. How Vikings for a while went to step aside. How Vikings have long.
Ancient Egypt
But they
is
do have
so
some very interesting showing to discuss.
She died
And what they do does help us gain an uplift for some of the stronger parts of the
Indentured servitude.
There was a
the
common
prisoners have
misconception
been
that
much fodder to most of them at this point.
570.
As always, subscribe for more fucking content. And if this video gets up to 3,000 likes, I'll release my
The opinion you have of my place. There is no limit. The opinion you have. There is no limit.
If whites did migrate away,
The bodies of 70 that
even person, he was able to make the huge tunnels in hands and feet during one night. When Renzi was told about this, it was said to be 40 years ago. So compared to the current story I'm talking about, it was most likely around 45 years ago. And as expected, over 45 years, he most likely got much stronger, so this seems to be a much tougher right now. Fast enough to push regular people while flying, beat up cubs with dirty tactics, and outplay Renzi, had the ability to use fire Dorian just be a true
First
madman?
king. Oh, wow,
Able
this
to
was one of
survive
the
a threat king from Dofro while caught off guard without any real damage, purely using fire.
This
Even
is
getting
actually
sliced off in
less.
Dofro's hands could be specially made to support up to 200 kilograms and feel even lighter than the cockpit. You honestly just gotta respect the fact that he just pulls up on everyone. He can survive
So listen,
being
there's
set on
people
fire,
that we need for
and
that.
perhaps could have killed Kato and Custody with his wire if it wasn't for
And
Dofro
his
Orochi.
reasoning for going
Also,
into Sweden.
grenade spawning. Very fun stuff. He finds Kato in the underground, revealing his martial arts and ability to use his notional spike money, also calling it a technique. This ability is explained later on. It's a technique that preys on the weakness that exists in the minds of all martial artists. It creates an opponent they can live out their